If your kids asked you what Supernatural was about, what would you say or tell them? I would say, and I have told them that it is Daddy and Uncle Jared pretending to be funny and goofy and put red paint all over their face. That's what I tell them, because they turn it on they turn the TV on sometimes, and there we are, bloodied up and fighting, and I'm like, oh yeah, look, there's Daddy and Uncle Jared just playing with those super scary vampires, and that's just paint. They're having a craft party. That's what they're doing. Biggest milestones on SPN. I don't know. There's been a lot. I'd say just from a character or I guess acting standpoint. Oh, I know. I'll go with this. Driving that thing as well as I got. Not saying that I'm the best driver on the planet, but I got pretty good at handling that thing in very kind of tight situations, because I was you'd have to drive in and you'd have to hit a mark, that's this big. The helicopter going over. So to drive in, come at full speed, and then stop and hit a mark, I got pretty good at that. So good that a lot of the camera guys, they would take bets on how close I would get to the mark, like 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. But more importantly, they all felt comfortable with me behind the wheel. And they knew that, they knew I would hit the mark. They knew that I would, have control of the car. Even if it was going full speed, if I was going in reverse, if I was doing some sort of stunt thing with the car, I always felt really comfortable and confident driving that thing. And it's not that sometimes that's not hard. That's not easy to do when you're surrounded by hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and people's lives. So I do remember thinking how thankful I was that I was as good driving that thing as I was, because I think it made for a lot of really good shots, and it just made production go that much quicker and that much smoother. So that was certainly something that I will take pride in for a long time. Did you ever wish you got to film a birthday episode for Dean? Love you. Didn't I? Did we never have Dean's birthday? I feel like we did. I feel like that was something. But we used to have birthdays on our set like every day, because every day somebody was having a birthday, and we would always sing happy birthday to them, the whole crew. I might be getting that confused with a Dean birthday, but I kind of feel like we did. And if we didn't, then we certainly should. And then if we seriously never did, then I've got so much cake to catch up on. So, but I'm sure Dean would probably prefer pie. So that's fine. I'm cool with that. Lonnie, which is your favorite Disney movie? Love from Argentina. Favorite Disney movie. My daughter just asked me that yesterday. She's like, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, oh, Die Hard. She's like, no, like cartoons. No, I didn't say Die Hard, but that's a good one. I think I told her kind of the first one that came to my mind that I know I like, that I never get tired of watching, and that's Toy Story, the first one. That's just, it's Tom Hanks, and it's a good story, and I liked it. Anyway, last question time. Oh, I missed the song. Where's Benedict when I need him to sing? All right. Last question. Here we go. Valen, Argentina. Hi, Jensen. My name is Valentina. After 15 years of playing Dean, how do you think he changed you in a personal and professional level? In an unimaginable amount. Professional, I think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to play a character for this long and to be on a show for this long and to be able to tell a story that someone truly enjoys and doesn't get tired of, and playing a character that you truly enjoy and never really get tired of. And I really could. I could play Dean forever, and probably because I share a lot in common with the guy. So it just feels natural, super natural now. And from a personal level, like, sure, I've, who I was before I started the show is long gone. As far as like that life that I had, I'm still the same person, but my circumstances have dramatically changed. And it is afforded me, a life I could have only dreamed of. It has afforded me friends, and coworkers that I will keep in contact with for the rest of my life. And it has introduced me to a fandom that I will forever be grateful for sticking with us and watching us and being as supportive as you guys have been over the years. It truly is a marvel to not just me, but a lot of those people and a lot of people in the industry. This show has always been kind of the little show that could, and it's because of you that we did. So I'm thankful for that. And yeah, it has forever changed me. So thank you. And that'll do it for me. Guys, I want to thank you for hanging in there, and being safe, and appreciating that we can't do these kind of things in person, but we're trying to do the best we can, and give you a little feedback, and please know that we're missing it too. We really miss seeing you guys and being able to show up and see your smiling faces and interact and answer questions in person, and know that when we're able to do that again, we certainly will, because we know we know that this is a unique situation, and we want to preserve it, and water it as much as we can. So going into the final week of Supernatural, I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you for being on this ride with us for 15 years. And hopefully one day soon we can see each other in person and talk all about it. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Hi, guys. I wish I could see you all. Greetings from Austin. Sorry, I just got out of the shower. So one of the benefits of a virtual con is that I can kind of chill out here at my house and take a shower right before. One of the bad things is I didn't do my hair. I'm still getting used to it, so I don't know how to do it just yet. So I'm kind of, if y'all have hints or comments, I can click on the comments. So please tell me how I should do it, what kind of products I should use, because I don't know how to. Anyways, it's been a hell of a week. We all know why. Supernatural aired its series finale on Thursday. And I don't know about y'all, but I shed some tears. I watched it here at the house, and everything kind of came flooding back. And it was really emotional for me. I don't know how it was for you guys. So I'm looking forward to hearing it. I wish I could see your faces. I know I can feel you guys. I can feel y'all watching, and I can feel y'all here with me, and thank you. I feel the love, but and I hope y'all feel it back for me. Hi, Jared. I'm Rosa Q. What are your top 3 episodes and why they're your favorites? Okay. All right. Well, that's a doozy to start with. I am going to go with the obvious for me, which is the series finale. And that is my favorite, for a lot of reasons, most of which is I'm a fan of storytelling first and foremost. And I guess the way I figured out early in life is that the way I can be a part of storytelling is through acting. And so looking at Supernatural as a whole, and looking at Supernatural as a 15 and a half year and 327 episode story, which is like the ultimate trilogy. Like, I think we put Lord of the Rings to shame by hundreds of hours. I feel like, as a fan of storytelling, the finale did something that we all thought was impossible. It answered a lot of questions, and it wrapped up things in a way that were meaningful and poignant and frustrating, but wonderfully frustrating, if that makes any sense. And so I'll go with that. Number two, I always go back to Sacrifice, the season 8 finale. To me, that was another situation where we got to see really deeply inside the boys, and it almost felt like the season 15 series finale and the season 8 finale, Sacrifice, were kind of flipped. On season 8 finale, Sam thought he was dying, and he had made his peace with it as best as he could. Season 15, we all know what happened. But also, we got to see a little bit of the boys and their commitment to each other. And then after that, I'm going to go with a funny one. I'm going to go with French Mistake. Having everybody come back and just making fun of ourselves, it really stands out in my mind as an hour of television that I don't know if any other TV show could do. So those will be my 3. Hello, Jared. I want to know if the pie scene where you put someone Dean's face was scripted or not. Love from France. Love back to you in France. It was scripted, and I got to do it a few times, which is pretty cool. And then I don't know if any of you saw this, but when they cut to Sam and he throws the pie in Dean's face, and then there's a passerby at the pie festival in the background who kind of looks and is shocked. That is the one and only legend Bob Singer. So that was a little bit of like a Alfred Hitchcock from Bob. So we had a lot of Easter eggs in the finale for you guys, and that was one of them. I'm sure some of y'all noticed, but the passerby in the background who kind of goes like, oh, that dude just pot another dude. It was the director and longtime executive producer, Bob Singer. So that was scripted, but it didn't make it any less fun. You would figure that after 6 months of quarantine, I'd have a better. I gotta do something about this hair. I have a better Zoom setup, but all right, I'll do something before the photo ops. Hi, Jared. My name is Aline. I'm from Rio, Brazil. How were the first days on the set of Walker? Ben, I love you so much. Aline, I don't know how to say it. I love you back. Thank you for asking. It's been awesome. It's been strange for sure, but it's been incredible. I feel so lucky and fortunate to be here in Austin, Texas, where I can see my kids in the morning or see my kids at night, and see Jen mornings and nights, ideally. Sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. to get off to work and don't get home till late. But I feel so proud of what Supernatural was and the way we told those stories. And so I'm hoping to recreate some of that with Walker and just keep telling stories and keep kind of hoping to entertain y'all, entertain myself, and learn through another character. And I learned so much through Sam, and I'll always take it with me. And we're 4 weeks in on Walker, and I go back to work tomorrow at, I think, 4 a.m. Texas time. So fun times. But it's great crew, great cast. And I just feel so fortunate and blessed. So hopefully y'all guys tune into that as well. I think you'll enjoy it. Hi, Jared. I'm Erica. Question: how do you deal with bad hair days? Kisses from Brazil. You know how I deal with bad hair days. That's how I deal with bad hair days. I think for me, every day is a bad hair day. I don't think other than when I work, I don't do anything with my hair. I probably should. I should learn how to, but I just have always felt more comfortable just kind of tucking away in a beanie, and now it's a beanie and a mask. And so I think bad hair days, I throw a cap on, and it's different now because this is much easier to hide than the Sam do, which was out here. So I think I'm I think my neck where Sam's hair was long was like a baby's butt. I think as soon as I got my hair cut, it got sunburned like at midnight because it hadn't seen the sun in what 15 years. And so I these days it's pretty easy. I just throw on a baseball cap or a beanie and kind of get on. Hello, back to Rio. Hi, Jared. Do you think that if there was a crossover between Supernatural and Walker, Sam and Cordell would be friends? I love you so much. Uh, that's a great question. I've never been asked that question. I've never thought about that question. And the answer is absolutely. I think one of the things that Cordell Walker has in common with Sam Winchester is that Cordell and Sam are both just trying to do their best in a weird world to make the world a better place and to um, hopefully ease other people's pain, even though it's difficult and even though there's no perfect answer. I think one of the things that Sam and Dean dealt with was that there's not a perfect answer. There's no perfect solution where everything is just happy and rainbows and lollipops. And Cordell Walker finds himself in a lot of the same situations where there's no obvious answer. And because of that, I do think Sam and Cordell Walker would definitely understand that they're kindred spirits. And plus, they're both tall. I mean, Sam has longer hair, but Cordell would. I think they find a lot in common. Judith Novotnik, dear Jared, what is your favorite Harry Potter book and movie and spell? Much love from Hungary. Oh man. Okay, all right. For all you other Harry Potter nerds, my favorite book, God, I read the books. So I hadn't seen the movies until quarantine. I had read all the books well, maybe one of the movies came out. But I remember reading the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in Vancouver. And I think I was working at like 7 a.m. and I had just gotten the book. And so I was reading it at like 2 a.m. And I was like, I'll put it down. And then I kept reading it. Long story short, I didn't sleep before set. I had to finish the book. So I do have to say, much like the earlier question about what my favorite episode was, or my favorite 3 episodes, I do feel like Deathly Hallows, I guess part 2 for the movie, but Deathly Hallows was my favorite book. I love storytelling, and the way Deathly Hallows wrapped up that story uh, uh, was just really impressive. It makes you sad, and you're like, well, they're all supposed to live still, and they're all supposed to, go play and this and that. But as far as storytelling goes, and what we can learn from it, I feel like that book number 7 was my favorite. So I guess I would say that movie as well. I guess it would be movie number 8, but book number 7. And my favorite spell, Expecto Patronum. I love I love the idea. I think what Sam and Dean had for so long was they were almost each other's Patronus. When Sam was in trouble, Dean was there, and when Dean was in trouble, Sam was there. Even if when Dean was in trouble, Sam was just there to tell him it's okay. Um, and yeah, you can go. So I do feel like the idea that you have somebody or something that supports you and knows what you need, even if what you need isn't what they want, is pretty powerful to me. So let's bring out those Patronuses. I don't know what's the plural of Patronus. What was the craziest and funniest moment you had behind the scenes of SPN all these years? Craziest and funniest moment you had behind the scenes. I feel like there were 2 moments on set where, well, one moment was where I was anxiously awaiting the birth of my first son, Tom, and I was shooting with Osric. We were at the Riverview Hospital, and it's the scene where Sam is chasing Kevin Tran around. And I literally was just waiting for a phone call from Jen to say, hey, I'm in labor. And sure enough, she went into labor on that Friday. And so I think we did like one or two more takes. And then I got into Cliff's truck and we drove down to Seattle. And then I also remember when Richard Speight was directing, when Jensen's twins, he had the same situation where we're all glued to our phones, and sure enough, he gets a text like, "Hey." That was a bit of a farther travel because they were giving birth. Danielle was giving birth in Austin, and so we had to go way far away. But the same thing where getting that call, it's a weird situation to be an actor, but have something so big going on in your personal life where you want to be committed to your character, to the story, to what you're doing, to the scene, but your wife might be going to labor any second. And so he and I had those moments on set, and they were crazy and funny and hectic. And I remember uh, before Jensen and Neil had their twins, um, whose birthday is coming up in a week. Uh, they he came to set and we were filming like, I don't know, 45 minutes away from our places in Vancouver. And I walked up to him kind of midday and was like, "Hey man, you have your passport?" And he kind of looked at me like, "I'm not the one who forgets things. Like, of course I got my passport." And I was like, "All right, well, just go back to your trailer, or when we go back to our trailers to change or whatever, just touch it. Just put your fingers on your passport. Like, just do me a favor." And he kind of looked at me like, "It's a weird thing." And so then we had we had a scene, or we had a shot that maybe Misha was in or something, and we weren't in. And so we went back to our trailers, go to the bathroom, or just kind of warm up. I think it was December, and so then we get back in Cliff's truck, start heading back to set. And he looks at me and he's like, "How'd you know?" And I had kind of forgotten what I had said hours earlier, and so I was sort of like, how did I know what?" And he's like, "How'd you know?" It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, do you smell toast? Like, I don't know what's going on here. And it turns out that he didn't have his passport. And we were in Canada, and Danielle was about to go into the hospital the next morning in America. So he needed his passport. And so then that started some big old all hands on deck. Y'all check the home in Austin, y'all check my apartment here. And he ultimately figured out that it had been in one of his other backpacks. I think we had gone to a convention or something, and so he had just left in there, assuming he would take that bag. He didn't, and so we had to call some Austin Police Department friends of ours to let them know, like, "Listen, we're flying in. He doesn't have his passport. Can you help us get in touch with customs and immigration and this and that?" And so it was a pretty hectic moment, but we got home in time. Spate got us out in time, and so it was a happy ending. But those were two of the craziest and funniest. Who would you be, okay, and why? Hi, Nicole. Great question, especially now that it's over. It makes it a little more poignant. This is a two-part answer. Here I am. It's Sunday, and so Thursday night, Friday night. I'm 3 nights away from saying bye to Sam and Dean. And part of me, the biggest part of me, is thinking that I have to be Sam, so my answer number one is, if I could do Supernatural all over as a different character, who would I be and why? Is I would be Sam again, and I would do it all over again. And I would. And it was hard. And, there was blood, literally. There were broken bones, literally. There was sweat, lots of it. There were tears, obviously. But I learned so much from Sam, and I would do that again. But if I had to be a second character, I think I wouldn't want him to not be on the show because he was so amazing, but I think I would love to be Lucifer. Uh, Pellegrino is phenomenal. Such a good dude. So brilliant and talented. But just seems like he made it seem like such a fun character to play. That half the time I was sitting there watching him going like, man, he's good. And half the time I was like, man, that seems so fun to play that character and to kind of have that, I don't know, storyline. So I think I would probably, I would choose Lucifer and possibly Chuck. All seems fun. Rob is phenomenal as well. And I wouldn't be as good as he was, but I would have fun with it. And he seemed, Rob and Pellegrino both seemed like they were having so much fun with their characters. And so much fun playing that sort of dichotomy between like they know something you don't know, but they're going to be kind of funny about it, kind of tongue in cheek and kind of caustic. And so those two characters, I would be Sam first, and then I would want to be either Lucifer or Chuck. Hi, Jared. The You Define You campaign struck home to me. Thanks so much. What specifically inspired you to do it? Thank you. It meant a lot to me. And if I didn't just work out in my You Define You shirt, and if it wasn't in the washing machine, I'd probably be wearing it right now. You know, the end of Supernatural was really difficult. It's still difficult. And I've watched some of the reaction videos and I'm like crying watching people. I feel like there should be now the episode of Supernatural, the reaction videos, and then our reaction to the reaction videos. That might be kind of fun. But I was going through a lot of, it was pretty difficult. We got sent home March 13th, Friday the 13th, and we had 2 episodes left to do. And I had a really tough go about trying to figure out like who I was, who I wanted to be, who I was going to be after the show ended. And I had I was living in Austin for the first time ever, even though I'd moved here, whatever, 10 or 11 years ago. But I was here with Jen and the kids, and we were all stuck at home, like we all were around the world. And I sort of had this really difficult time figuring out like who I was, because I knew that a big part of my personality was going to be gone as soon as Supernatural ended. And so I love quotes. I love books, and I love sayings, and I try to quote Shakespeare and Dr. Seuss here and there because I think they were both brilliant and timeless. And I sort of just stuck onto a mantra of like, I'm going to define me, and I needed that at that point in time in my life. And I needed it since, and I needed it before and didn't realize it. And so I think for me, it was more like, as opposed to feeling like I was going through something negative, I wanted to remind myself that I was going through something positive, and that I would come out on the other side the way I chose to, and that I wasn't going to be kind of doomed to be what bad people on the internet say, or what the business says, or yada yada yada. I could pave my own way, much like Sam and Dean did, and so that just kind of it clicked with me a lot. So I'm glad it meant a lot to you too. I acted in high school. I acted in school, like middle school. I did plays, and high school as well. And then between my during my junior year, I auditioned. I went to LA during my spring break as a senior in high school. I'm kind of going all over the place. All right. Between junior and senior year, I was working at a ranch, Holt Ranch here in Texas. And I won a contest to be a trophy presenter at the Teen Choice Awards, which just meant that I basically handed off a surfboard, which I have one here, which is kind of neat. Hold that thought. Look at this. So, kind of fun. So here I am in my office in Austin, and I have my I had to take it down because I was like, it's too colorful in the background. But there it is. So I won the chance to be the first trophy presenter at the Teen Choice Awards in '99, and that's my 2015 Choice TV Actor Fantasy Sci-Fi, which is pretty cool. I've never used it, but I would like to. Anyways, so I met an agent out there, and then auditioned over tape. Like my mom would film me sitting on the couch and I'd be reading through scripts. And then I got a pilot and I used that money. I was supposed to go to UT and be an engineer and kind of like engineer pre-med, like my brother. And I got Gilmore Girls. And so I stayed out there, and Gilmore Girls is supposed to be a few episodes. And I was thinking like, oh, cool. Like I'll use this money to get a car or to pay my dorm bills or whatever. And then it carried on, but I found my way back to Austin. So I'm pretty happy about that. Lachenko, hi, Jared. What is always on your Thanksgiving table? What traditions does your family have from Ukraine with love? Hi, Alice. Hi from Texas. Hi to the Ukraine. I'm dying to go to the Ukraine. What is always on your Thanksgiving table? So obviously turkey, as much as possible, stuffing, pumpkin pie. And then another thing I always do on Thanksgiving, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, even though we are not doing so hot this year. We've had some injuries and it's kind of sucked. It's really sucked actually. But it's usually, here's something kind of funny. So we would always do Thanksgiving dinner or Thanksgiving meal midday. Like we would eat Thanksgiving, our big Thanksgiving dinner, meal, whatever you call it, our Thanksgiving table would be like around noon. And so we would eat and eat and eat until we were miserably full. And then we would sit on the couch and watch the Cowboy game and take a nap. And then we would wake up and make leftovers with what we had just had a couple hours ago. And we would always make nachos, and not good nachos. Like we would just get tortilla chips and grated cheese and put it in the microwave. And so we'd end up having like turkey nachos later that night. So turkey and nachos is always on my Thanksgiving table. So I think we saw how Sam Winchester would spend his time in quarantine. Sam had that giant library there at the Middle Letters, which no longer exists. How would Sam spend his time in quarantine? He would do a lot of reading. He would plow through all of those books there in the Middle Letters library, and probably walk around the. I think he would maybe have like a little pedometer watch that tracks your steps, and probably make sure that he got like 20 or 30,000 steps every day. But he would sit there and he'd be fine. Sam was an introvert and enjoyed his alone time. And so I think he would be doing a lot of what we saw out there in that final episode. He would do some laundry, he would take a shower, he would do some reading, and I think he'd enjoy it. Or ad-libbed by you two. Yes. Yeah. A lot of me. So, Andrew Dabb and Bob Singer are phenomenal and did a great job trying to do the impossible. And I think they did it. And there were some scenes, there were some things that occurred to me that I really wanted to touch on. One of the things, a little like Easter egg that we had in the barn scene was at first when Dean says to Sam, to keep on going, and it was written, Sam says, I can't do this without you. And it occurred to me that I thought it'd be neat to kind of have a throwback to the pilot and say, I can't do this alone. Like Dean said to Sam outside the Impala in the pilot. And then for Dean to say, yes, you can, like Sam said to Dean in the pilot. And then for Sam to say, well, I don't want to. And that harkened back for me to the way we all started. Another thing that I really thought was important was that the first things we ever saw Sam and Dean say to each other on camera, obviously they had grown up together, but the first thing Dean ever said to Sam was, "Hey, Sammy," and the first thing Sam ever said to Dean was, "Dean," because at the time they were in a fight and in a dark apartment, and so I thought it'd be really neat if the first words Sam and Dean ever said to each other on screen were also the last words. So when we're on that bridge and Dean says, "Hey, Sammy," and then it cuts to Sam and I'm dressed like as best I could, like the pilot with Dean, and then a few things there in the barn scene. We talked with Andrew Dabb and Bob Singer a lot, and we just said like, "Hey, are y'all okay if we kind of see what makes sense, what we're feeling, repeating lines here or there, or just kind of going with the flow?" And at that point in time, when we shot that scene, Jensen and I knew Sam and Dean in a way that no one else could. We had lived with these guys for 15 and a half years, and so we felt really strongly that, and we did the script as it was the script, but we would do little bits where we would try and do something that was like meaningful to us or helped convey a message that we were trying to convey. Also, I really, it was really important to me that the last words Sam says to Dean, I'm getting emotional. When Sam says, "It's okay, you can go now," I thought that Sam's son, Dean, needed to say those exact same words to Sam. And that was Sam's cue to go like, "All right, it's time." So, yeah, there were a few things that were really important to me. And those were a few of them, but there were probably more, but for now. Thank you, Kaelista. Lauren _ Nicole. Hi, Jared. I was wondering if you could talk about the Easter eggs you and Jensen put in the finale, like Sam wearing Dean's watch when he died. Oh, you saw that? Yeah. So I just talked about a few with the lines with kind of giving an homage back to the pilot with "I can't do this alone. Yes, you can. Well, I don't want to." And ending with "Hey, Sammy and Dean." But yeah, you saw so Jensen and I are both big watch fans, and we thought it would be something that Sam would have kept and worn, Dean's watch. And I'm glad you saw that. I didn't know any. Well, whatever. I mean, it was right for Sam. Sam would have changed his watch to Dean's watch. And so it's neat that you saw it. Good eye, Lauren and Nicole. Good. I'm glad that conveyed. Sam Liquor 81. Sam Liquor 81. Okay. Hi, Jared. Sending love from Korea. Okay. How did you feel about Sam's ending? Sam Liquor 81. Hi, back to Korea. Wow. I've had almost a year and a half to think about Sam's ending. So I know a lot of y'all found out about it 3 days ago. I found out about it June of 2019, and so I've had a lot of time to think about it. And at first it was probably a little jarring, a little abrupt, a little I mean, I guess how would you feel about anybody's ending? And I don't want to answer a question with a question, but let's say hypothetically you were told how you would pass. Would you ever be okay with it? You'd be like, well, either you die happy in your sleep. You're like, well, I want to go out in a blaze of glory. Or they're like, you go out in a blaze of glory. And you're like, oh man, I thought I'd be peaceful. And so there was a finality to it that no matter how Sam had his ending, it would have been difficult to kind of wrap my head around. Once I did digest it and spend, hours and days and weeks and months and over a year with it, I truly feel that it was the best way to tell Sam's story. And Sam tried to live his life the way Dean would have wanted him to live his life. Um, in honor of Dean and his request and his sacrifices, uh, Sam tried to do as best he could what Dean would have wanted. If Dean would have come back to life 20 years later and Sam was still hunting, I think Dean would have been pissed off. Been like, man, I told you, like, go live your life. Like, we didn't fight all the, lay your weary head to rest, and so I really am passionate about Sam's ending being proper. And that's what Dean would have wanted. And that's what Dean fought for. That's what Mary fought for. That's what John fought for. That's what Bobby and, Sheriff Jody and Donna, and that's what everybody, Castiel, Jack, that's what they all fought for, was the idea that whoever was left could live as, normal a life as possible. So I'm very happy with Sam's ending, as happy as you can be.